Welcome one and all to this WPT DeepStacks final table right here on partypoker. Joined, very pleased to stay this evening by Henry but our guest analyst, Mr. Ike Haxton. How we doing, boys?
Not bad.
Pretty
man.
good.
Not bad.
Pretty good.
Yeah, look at this. Stellar stuff from the off. Hey, Henry, we just get Ike in here. We get to sit back, relax, and just learn some stuff.
That's it. I mean, whenever Ike's in, we just ask all the tough questions, fire them his way, and sit back and just hear the in-depth analysis.
All right, I'm ready.
poor Ike. He's going to earn it today, guys. He's going to earn it. And what event we have, guys, is $1,100 buy-in. Pardon me. Just over 1,000 entries, making the guarantee of a cool milli. First prize 171,000 and change. Everyone guaranteed 14k from making the final table. And we have, well, it says there Timothy Kelly. Doesn't quite tell the full story, guys, because it's quite the lead he has. It's about 3.5 times the average, I believe. So it's a ICM cage from the off.
That's pretty strong.
Here we go. Looking at that, wow, 100 million in chips. The 250 million in play. So it gives you an idea, guys.
So big blind coming in is like 600k. So we have like 7 stacks, sub 40 bigs. I guess that is quite the ICM cage to find yourself in, especially those middling stacks.
Yeah, and obviously a quick glance at some of the names involved. We've got some big names in the mix in this DeepStacks final table. As I was saying, everyone guaranteed 14k. Prizes rising quite nicely. Second gets you 6 figures, but that first prize, say, just under 172k. And well, guys, straight off to it. Let's see what's going on. Let's see the seed draw. Who's to the right of this big stack? Well, Volodymyr and Philipp getting the worst seats back. Jerry with one of those other big stacks, guys, is kind of drawing a bad seat here.
Yeah, that's not an ideal place to be if you are Jerry. He's not on the immediate right of the chip leader, but would obviously prefer to be a little further away and or to the left rather than the right.
Yeah, and just scanning the rest. It's Volodymyr, obviously sub 10 mil. Michael, Thomas, Simon, Philip, all of those very uncomfortable stacks. I guess
Bit of an interesting spot there right off the bat for Jerry. Queen Jack off, kind of marginal hand to consider opening there with only 1 stack behind him covering. I think it's interesting to see he folded there and maybe indicative of what we can expect as we go forward. Looks like he's going to be playing a little on the conservative side.
Right, I mean, especially I guess at this early stage, right, 9 left on this final table, you just...
Right. Yeah, you're second in chips with the healthy distance in either direction. I certainly see the appeal of taking it slow for a little while.
Yeah, and Sven, Joakim, Andersson, if I'm not mistaken, James, I know we've had him in a couple of the 10k, maybe even the 25ks. I want to say well-known in the online world, but not as well-known on the live circuit.
I've been absolutely crushing it online in the last year and a half. I was looking earlier, Henry, at some of the results. He's already had a $1.5 million score this year in the GG Super Millions. Took down the Powerfest Super High Roller for just under 500k and won the Super Millions High Roller for 325k. So
that's right.
Not doing too badly.
Did he beat Bonomo heads up? Was it Bonomo?
I can't remember who was the victim, but
that was the 25k on party you're talking about.
Yeah, the 25k Powerfest earlier this year.
I want to say he got 3-handed with Bonomo and Kuhn, and it was Bonomo in third, Kuhn in second, maybe. Yes. I can't remember.
With the flush over flush final hand, I think, wasn't it? It was the king high flush, the ace high flush.
That's right.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
It was a very cold deck.
Yeah, that does sound right.
But yeah, someone who's been definitely on a bit of a run.
Yeah, James, we're back to the virtual felt for the time being.
We are.
We're in sunny Cyprus.
No more holidays for the boys, eh?
For the time being. I can't wait for Party to announce their next live stop. What do you think, Ike? Is like a February, March event something that you think by that time you'd be back to potentially grinding live?
I think so. I think, I mean, you know, COVID could get a lot worse over the winter, and that would change my plans, but hopefully not. Everything's still up in the air for me. We'll see.
Yeah. Well,
That's a pretty loose open.
Hey, you got the chip lead. Just keep raising until they stop you.
Yeah.
They're going to stop you here. 2 aces.
If the Queen Jack fold from Jerry was setting a tone, the King 2 off open certainly is.
Yeah, and well, Thomas, I mean, a curious sizing here, Ike. I mean, will we have a 3-betting light here?
Yeah, I mean, he's 20 big blinds deep. You can bluff 3-bet against the chip leader here. If anything, it's a little on the large side, but I don't know. Nobody really knows the answer about 3-bet sizing in these kind of spots.
That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear.
I'd have probably gone a little bit smaller, but I don't know.
I think sub 20, 5 bigs is pretty much the norm nowadays.
Yeah, I would say that's more common. He went like just over 6 there, right?
Yeah.
All right, well, how are we all doing at chat? I see it's starting to fill up. Welcome all. And I see straight off the bat, Killing Bird cheering on Tim Kelly, our chip leader, our overwhelming chip leader. It's a service to say it's a chip lead. It's a mountain.
Yeah, is it a really good spot? I mean, how loose do we really get to play here? Is it close to like an any 2 spot if we're folded to and like in the hijack, for example?
No, I don't think you get to play any 2 from the hijack. Much looser than you ordinarily would, for sure. You know, maybe any ace, any suited king from middle position. You know, from the hijack, you're starting to consider hands like King 8 off, King 7 off, nearly anything suited and reasonable. But no, I don't think it's close to any 2 cards. I would not be opening. I think opening like the bottom 15-20% is a substantial mistake from middle position, even with a giant chip lead.
Yes, it's got 40% of the chips to play. It's been a while since we've seen something like this, Dempsey.
Well, he says it's been a while. How about down there in Cyprus, Georgi had all of his coins on a final table? But yeah, I mean, I know what you mean. It's a pretty rare sight, and we'll see if it goes as well as it went for Georgi down in Cyprus, where he just got to steamroll the fun and knock everyone out. But something tells me this one's going to be a little bit harder to do that on, should we say, with the caliber of players we have on this final table.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, hello. This is a bit fruity. Voldemort popping it up with Jack 3, obviously after Jerry completes with Jack 5 off from the small. I like it. There was me, Ike, saying, you know, didn't think Thomas necessarily gets to be light, and here's Voldemort getting light off for even fewer chips.
Oh, I mean, that's just a good play. Jack 3 off is a nice hand for raising a limb. It's no Jack 2 off, but
the next best
it's
thing,
not a bad one.
Dempsey thinks he's auditioning for Harry Potter. Voldemort. Get out of there. It's Volodymyr.
I'm really not with it today.
Yeah, what is that? What's been going on, Dempsey? It's been a month since we've done commentary.
Just not feeling tip top. I've either got a cold or the dreaded vid. I'm assuming a cold, but
getting a cold is scary these days. Best of luck.
Yeah. No, it seems to be getting better, so it's only been a couple of days, so we'll be all good. We'll be all good. Thomas getting a rare first in spot with Timothy opting to fold.
Yeah, great start for Hueber. A couple of 3-bets getting through against the chip leader. It's chipped up from, 11 mil, I believe he came in with, to around about 18.
Yeah, that sounds right. nearly 12, I think.
Yeah. James, over-unders on how long this FT is going to take with Timothy with the huge chip lead? This could be a 4-hour affair, right?
I mean, this could be a lot less. I mean, if Timothy just goes after it, it could be way less. I mean,
yeah. How long are the levels here?
we're 20 minutes. We're 20 minutes the first couple of levels we've come into. So I think it goes to 30 minutes from the 400, 800 level.
Okay.
Okay.
So
That's pretty slow.
yeah, I mean, what we're on level 17 now. Level 25 will be the point where there's 100 blinds in play. So
Right.
work it out from there. I mean, I mean, if Timothy keeps these chips, then obviously effective stack is so much shorter. This is obviously a really deep structured tournament, but it's not when chip leader has this many, is it? Here we
Right.
go. Just like the Jack 3 Ike, the Jack 6, he's taken advantage.
Yeah.
First question in the chat saying, Ike, what's your favorite Helmuth blow up? I'm going to assume it's one versus yourself.
I don't know. Nothing comes to mind. I'm not exactly a connoisseur of Helmuth blow-ups.
That's a great question. I see like a lot of people on Twitter, like recreational, saying that if they went to Vegas and had Helmuth at their table, they would feel disappointed if they didn't get one. You can see why.
Yeah, I mean it's entertaining.
In my first experience of playing with Phil Helmuth, I got a Helmuth blow up in my direction, which is like, I feel like I made it. He raised folded queens to me, like just raised folded to my 3-bet.
Wait, what year was this?
This would have been about 10 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. Just raised folded the queens and said, I know you got aces. And he folded the queens face up, and I was like, how have you made that fold? How have you made that fold? As I showed him one ace, and then I flicked the 9 over. About how this guy's going to give me all his chips.
Yeah.
He was right. I did give him all my chips in the end, so he wasn't wrong. It was actually sick, as he told me that I would get dealt 2 9s, he would get dealt 2 kings, I'd overplay my hand, and he'd take all my chips. And sure enough, I got dealt 2 9s, he got dealt 2 kings, and I lost my chips to him.
No
Just
way.
That's a bit spooky.
That's scary, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was my first experience.
See a few people in the chat asking for the password already. Password is in the top right-hand corner of your screens.
There we go. I'm slacking, Henry. You beat me to it.
DeepStack.
Question is, have you beaten me to regging it?
You won't have time to let us know that you're making a deep run, mate.
Need to get there and find it now myself.
How have you been anyway? Like, how was your summer? It's been a while since we've had you in the booth.
Yeah, not bad. Not a whole lot to report. Just still staying at home playing poker on the internet, and still going reasonably well. I've been making some money lately. Not a whole lot new. Been getting back into chess recently, which has been fun. I played a bunch when I was little, kind of stopped playing by the time I was 12 or so, and have just picked it back up in the last couple of months, getting increasingly serious about it, spending time studying, reading books, using training software and stuff like that, and it's been a lot of fun. So I guess that's the biggest thing new in my life, is I'm playing a bunch of chess.
Nice. What format are you playing mainly?
10 or 15 minute games.
Okay, nice. That's kind of like the sweet spot for me online, at least.
I am horrific at any time control shorter than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing. I mean, I'm not good at any time control. On chess.com, I'm maybe 1600 in the 10-15 minute games, but I'm like an 1100 in blitz, which is really bad. Like, just hang a piece every 10 moves bad. Which, you know, anybody who's played live poker with me is probably not surprised to learn that playing quickly is not a strength of mine.
Oh, I love it. Love it.
I must admit, I do enjoy the way a lot of companies have now kind of tackled the whole, you know, time per hand situation, though. I think there have been some great concepts introduced with pre-flop, flop, turn, and then having longer on the river. I personally think that's like the best way to go. But I can understand why there are still companies that haven't yet introduced shot clocks, and I get it. I mean, you can't please everyone, right? There's always going to be someone that's not too happy about only having, you know, 30 seconds or whatever.
Yeah, but I agree. It's the thing to do. It makes playing poker a lot more fun and pleasant to have a reasonable pace of play. And I mean, particularly online where people have no compunction about stalling and using the clock to their maximum advantage. And I don't fault them for that. I do the same. But if people are going to use the maximum allotted time to fold pre-flop whenever it is favorable for them to do so, it's pretty important to have a pretty quick pre-flop clock, or the game gets really, really slow.
Yeah, I agree. I guess this is this going in?
I don't think it has to. I think it's kind of on the border where I wouldn't be too shocked to see any of the three options here from Volodymyr. Yeah. I mean, I think he's probably not even open raising sixes. So it's not unbearably high in his range to be folding.
This one plays out.
Yeah, another spot right. Volodymyr popping up king, queen suit, and
interesting. He's gone with the 2.5x open here. He min raised the last hand, right?
Yeah. Indeed.
This is they're not messing around. Like, this is, I'm being serious, guys. You know, I might min raise fold, but who's 2.5x folding, eh? Take me seriously.
Interesting spot for Michael in the big.
Yeah.
X.
I think I would usually just stick it in here. Not let the 2.5x influence me too much. On the one hand, maybe it's stronger. On the other, if they fold, you win more. And yeah, small pair for 15 blinds. I'm pretty eager to get it in before the flop, and you know, not have to just check fold so many flops.
Yeah, I see Vaccine Pusher in the chat asking about the event. Of course, it's WPT DeepStacks Final Table. For those of you just joining us, it was a $1 million guaranteed event. Got 1,041 entries. Just popping that guarantee nicely and leaving a first prize of 172k. Well, it's 172k, but it's
3x open.
Wow, yeah, all right.
Maybe you just go up half a big blind every hand.
They're playing a lot of things at the table. Like, okay, what do I think the largest anyone's going to open? Over-unders on 3.5 bigs next hand.
All right, Timothy's going to give one up. 10 deuce off. Not playable, guys. We're going to see a...
Kind of a tight fold by Sven there with the king 10.
Yeah, I was wondering that, Ike. I mean, is that just the case? There's so many shorter. It's just wait till it's
I don't think it's unreasonable by any means. He covers all but one of the people behind him, but some of them not by all that much. I can see a case for either opening it or not.
Well, Timothy's got 2 cards of the same suit.
Yeah, probably going to see him raise and take it here. I don't really see anybody with a hand that is likely to play back. Against a min-raise, there's a chance he'll calls.
Oh, man. I always forget. You know, when you have an abundance of something in life and then it's no longer there, you just miss it more, right? I feel that way about Twitch chat.
I knew where you were going. Just... Welcome, everyone. Good evening. We're having some fun. We're warming up. It's early days on this final table. But get the chat popping. Get Henry giggling.
I'm just laughing at the "is that Ike Haxton?" question mark, and there's literally a camera box with Ike's face in it with his name underneath it, and the question is still being asked.
Yeah, what is the plausible alternative?
It's an imposter.
Oh yeah, I mean. Fantastic.
Volodymyr's got the boots. Jerry's
Yeah,
got the suited king.
I guess no reason to try and induce here with ICM Ike. We just putting this in for 20. I guess we do have some lots of 20. Right?
Yeah, I would probably use a small 3-bet here down to at least 15 big blinds, maybe even like 14, 13 and a half, somewhere around there. I think at final tables, you have to get quite shallow before that play completely drops out because, for chips, you can probably use the small 3-bet down to 20, 18, something like that. And then as you get shorter than that, you just call. But at a final table, you don't really want to slow play, and so you'll continue carving out a small 3-bet size until you get down to a very, very short stack. Because with ICM, your 15, 18 big blind stack is kind of effectively deeper than that. It's worth more relative to the amount of money that's already in the pot than it would be if your chips had a linear value, if that's making sense. So to say that in maybe a clearer way, say you're looking at, there's a raise in front of you, so there's 4.5 big blinds in the pot, and you have 15. If chips have linear value, then you're looking at increasing your stack by 30% if you win the pot. Yep. But at a final table where chips don't have linear value and going from 15 to 0 is much, much worse than going from 15 to 30 is good, now you're looking at winning the pot and increasing the value of your stack by maybe only 20-25%. So it becomes more similar to a spot where you have 20 big blinds in a cash game or early stage of a tournament, if that makes sense. So the shallower stacks play like they're a little bit deeper than they are at final tables.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think. I know there's a part of me that is nodding in agreement, and there's another part of me that's questioning everything you just said. But that does You
Question everything, Henry. Question everything.
That's it. Beginner's mindset to everything in life.
Felix popping up tens. First chance to really get involved. A nice hand to do it with. And again, should see get through as we start 350, 700. As I say, this is the last of the 20-minute levels. Then we go 30 minutes from here on out. I mean, blinds have gone up, but oh, hello, Timothy. Here we go, Ike. Queen 5-0.
That's an aggressive play.
Yeah, we just saw him take it away from Volodymyr when Ike was just explaining the ICM situation there with 10-7 out of the small blind. Volodymyr open, folded, king 10 suited.
Yeah. Yeah, Timothy has come to play.
There we go.
It's not going to work on Felix.
No, he sniffs that one out. Michael, ace, jack, 10 blinds.
I think you can either shove or make a small raise here, or pseudo shove is also fine.
This could potentially find its way into the middle blind v blind. If Thomas doesn't open. Could definitely see Felix jamming for 20. I apologize.
Or that could happen.
Just forgot Timothy. That's the
Timothy's in a rush, guys. He must get this done as quickly as possible.
Guess Simon is probably going to be all in here. I certainly would be. Okay. And Felix could shove here himself. I think call is more likely, but I think shove is a very reasonable play. In the context, with any sense of how loose Timothy is playing, I think shove becomes a very attractive play.
Nice hand to do it.
I did not consider that possibility. Suddenly, Timothy's open looks brilliant.
Yeah, I guess with us coming straight into the final table, right? Obviously, just seeing this chip stacks, Timothy, as we already mentioned, coming with like 100 mil. But if this was the case yesterday as well, where he just felt like people just overfolding, I guess we could potentially start justifying some of these really loose opens, even though, at first glance, it just seems insane.
Yeah, I mean, if your opponents are going to fold Jack 10 suited, closing the action in the big blind, I'm not sure you even need to have been dealt cards to open.
Yeah, it's pretty It's like, 35 effective at the start of the hand, I think?
Yeah.
Simon going to run into it this time. Will the rich get richer?
We're on a delay, right? He hadn't heard me say he needed to jam the ace-8 suited before he stuck it in with the king-queen there, right?
he certainly didn't. We will get at least 13.9k for the efforts. Simon departs. Everyone else guaranteed 17.6 first ladder of the day secured, and wouldn't you know it, Timothy the one to send them out. Like I say, Henry, Georgi in Cyprus, he only knocked out 7 of his 8 opponents. Can Timothy go one better?
He is certainly going to try, it seems.
Like, what's your main method of studying at the moment? Without going into too much detail, is something like this final table reviews that you think provides a ton of value, or would you rather just work with your own hand histories and solvers?
I would say I do more of the latter, but I rewatch final tables pretty regularly. Mainly the higher buy-in stuff that has people I'm going to be playing against more often. Not that there's anything wrong with the lower stake stuff, but in the smaller fields that I'm playing against the same people over and over again, if I'm going to review a final table, I'd rather watch one that's full of those folks.
Definitely, yeah. We, me and my mates fine-combed the 3 days of the super high roller bowl with the laptops. That's a fun one.
Oh yeah, that was a good one. There were a lot of interesting hands in the super high roller bowl this year.
Yeah, there are a few of those hands like where we were just sat there saying if either of us did the old like 4-bet back jam for 65 bigs, we'd probably get laughed at. But when it's Michael Adama doing it, and then you actually check the solver and it's a frequency based thing, you're like, okay, yeah, I mean the guy's a genius, right?
Yeah, he plays very well. He does certainly seem to have a tendency to find the most aggressive, reasonable play, but he knows his poker theory for sure. It's when he does something surprising, it's rarely very far off the mark.
Yeah, definitely. So I think it's also very interesting to the, let's say, less experienced i.e. myself, when we do review, these hands with the software that's available nowadays, to see some of the hands that are, slightly off, a few pips too wide, or a little bit too aggressive. But I think it's very easy for me to just look at what the solver's outputting and say, okay, well, this actually seems really off, and it's a 300k buy-in. But the one thing that I guess many of us will never really know is, the perceived edge that these guys have, because, as a poker fan and as someone that's playing a lot lower, everyone in that field is seen as the elite, but there's definitely a hierarchy within that elite, and it's obviously pretty difficult to understand. Okay, right, so we're going a few pips too wide here in Adamo's shoes because he thinks that so-and-so is actually, a much weaker reg compared to some of the other players at the table. So it's very interesting to watch. I thoroughly enjoy breaking down some of the higher buy-in stuff.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Thomas popping up once more. King, Queen. Michael with potential to misstep, and Volodymyr behind with Ace King, just waiting in the small.
Yeah, I think Michael has a pretty close spot here. I'm not surprised he folded, given some of the other folds we've seen him make already. I think he seems to be playing pretty conservatively, and I think folding the ace-jack there is just a good play. Looks like kind of close, but I think Thomas gets away here.
I think my mouse may be smashed in this spot and then have to plug in a new one. Cards aren't cooperating, Dempsey.
The cards are not cooperating. That's what happens sometimes, boys and girls. Felix with Queen Jack. Not too dissimilar spot we saw with Jerry at the start of the final table, also going to give it up.
In this case, Felix is opening into chip leader big blind and one other person covering him behind. It's a little less close than the one Jerry had earlier.
Philipp 2-5s from the small. Do we just rip this eye? Because this.
Yeah, I think that's what you gotta do. I would not really consider any other options. I have a feeling Felix is going to get some action from Timothy here. I don't know if it's going to be a call or a 3-bet. I don't think we've really seen Timothy calling much. He's just been in there re-raising people when he plays hands.
Right.
But
the last time Felix raised with his hand, got 3-bet by Queen 5 offsuit. Now Queen Jack.
yeah, there it comes.
Wow, very small, but I guess
Really small.
out of position seems a bit peculiar. But
Yeah. And Timothy is making a lot of unconventional plays so far. Tough spot for Felix here. The small 3-bet is confusing.
right.
You know, it makes calling more attractive and shoving less attractive than it ordinarily would be when you face a 3-bet with those stacks and positions. But he goes ahead and jams it in anyhow.
Yeah, I think
Which,
Felix.
I mean, he has to have some sense of how loose Timothy is playing.
Right.
So that's unsurprising.
It feels like he made a decision, hasn't he, Ike? That it's just like, right, Timothy's just getting way out of line. Any spot, I go with it, and so be it if it happened to walk into.
Well, he still folded that Jack 10 suited in big blind Norman ago.
Yeah, that's true. That was. I don't know how I feel about that one, boys. I don't know.
That was a strange play. I mean, it was a 3x open, but
I'm gonna let that one slide. Yeah, that's gonna. Yeah, everyone gets a hall pass, a one-off.
sure. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you've got a bad feeling.
Oh, see, now you're making me miss live poker. That's something that people say at the live poker table. It's like, oh, yeah, when they defend pre-flop or something, they're like, oh, I knew I was going to lose the hand.
Will Timothy open the 10-2 off here? This could really go either way.
Something tells me Felix might be folding this blind.
No, I don't think so. A lot of things can happen here. I guess the most likely is just Sven limps, but he could open raise. I don't really think he can open jam. I think it's a little too deep. Now he's going to face a raise, and yeah, it's a tricky spot once you get raised here. I think all three or really four options are viable here. You can fold, call, small 3-bet, stick it in. I would not really be too surprised by any of those.
Wow, okay. Well, Sven needs to find the right one this time. Goes for the limp call 8.
Yeah, that's the safest one. You're never going to be making a big mistake just calling it. And he seems to have gotten a flop where he can avoid any further damage.
And well, whilst this one plays out, guys, you still have plenty of time, of course, to head over to Party and get involved in that free roll. It kicks off in 15 minutes, but there'll be plenty of late reg. Of course, loads of tickets being given away there, so please do head on over. $500 in total.
Interesting to see Felix check behind. Covering stack, less than 4x pot to play there. I think this is more trapping than caution. Can't really see being too afraid to get all the money in on the flop with that hand. And this should do it. I don't see much appeal in continuing against that bet.
Well, Felix stretching his way a bit from Sven and catching Jerry up. Yeah. Jostle for second chip position on this final table because Timothy's still way out in front.
I guess here we're going to see it fold to the small blind, and Felix is probably just going to go all in. And
I guess.
Oh!
Wow. Timothy folded the 10 deuce last hand, Ike, but the 10-4 is good enough.
I guess he's interested in attacking the small stack and the big blind. Feels like he's going to get a lot more folds in that scenario.
My word. GG, Michael.
Or he just knows. Maybe he just knows.
Gee. This is on check as well.
Yeah.
That's pretty insane.
This is...
I mean, once you've gotten to this point and you have 2 pair on that board with only pot to play, it's a kind of attractive check. Give him a chance to turn a pair.
Wow. And Michael checks once more.
That's an odd play. I mean, you have to think your hand is the nuts. I would be very excited to get the money in, and I would not be eager to give a free card to an ace or, king 7.
No. He perhaps thought he was giving some rope. In fact, all he's doing is... assume check raising straight into it, and that's what he does. And he'll be like to find it's behind here to the Tim 4. Timothy holds up. Michael.
It's not a pleasant way to go at.
No, out in 8th. And I mean,
all kinds of surprises with that one.
Right.
Surprised your hand isn't good. Further surprised in exactly the way it's not good.
Right.
That doesn't feel great, I imagine.
And to think as well, what Felix was supposed to jam from the small there, and maybe he calls off with Queen 10 and gets a double up instead. Out in 8th for... Yeah,
he'll get new additional needle when he sees the replay and sees that if Timothy had found the fold with 10-4 off, he's getting the double against Felix.
Yeah. Grim stuff. Down to 7, 22.2 locked up. And, well, it's all Timothy thus far.
What was Georgie's record? 7 eliminations.
He didn't knock out 9th, but he knocked out the rest.
Okay.
Which was... that was me thinking we'll never see anything like that again, Henry. It's just so hard to do, but who knows?
I mean, it's still a very tough ask. Like, there's a lot of big blinds in play still.
There are, indeed. Well, nearly 400 blinds in play, but so many of them reside in Timothy's stack.
Yeah, have we reached Timothy has half the chips in play?
Yep, we have indeed. We've crossed that threshold, which is some going with 7 left.
Yeah, that's an achievement, having over half the chips with 7 left. And you start to see the adjustments get really extreme when you have that big chip leader with that many players left now, where all the other players feel like they're playing for second and get increasingly cautious.
Right. And are we going to see more of this then? That these 3Xs for that reason as well, just making it really hard for anyone to play? I'm making it even harder, I should say.
We might. I don't think that's conventional wisdom. I think conventional wisdom is that because of that pressure to play tight, you can get away with small raises.
Right.
You're going to be min-raising or 2.2xing, and they still can't play very many hands against you. And when they do, they mainly continue by re-raising rather than calling, so the size is not so important. But Timothy has been using these bigger sizes, and I don't see any reason he'd be about to stop.
Well, 3-bet there. He's going to open again here. Goes much smaller this time. And Jerry with, well, another good hand this time on the button. And Volodymyr in the small with 2 8s.
Yeah, a lot of different things could happen here. If Jerry 3-bets, I think we just see Volodymyr fold. Jerry could call here. Right. I think that's quite a reasonable play with this stack distribution. And if he does,
then it could be.
It'll be interesting to see what Volodymyr does. I think.
Right. Well, there we go. Here's the invitation.
Yeah.
It's tempting, isn't it, Volodymyr?
I mean, if you just saw Timothy showdown 10-4 off, like, how do you not just stick it in?
That's what he's done. He's gone for it. I can only assume Jerry ÖDeen's looking forward to pressing call here. I say looking forward.
Maybe not looking forward to it that much. Oh,
wow.
Okay. I'm just going to say
preservation.
Feeling obliged to, even if he's not quite looking forward to it, but I guess not.
Well,
I've seen some crazy folds today already.
Yeah, this has been a wild final table so far.
Stack preservation, guys. Jerry just happy to hold himself in the middle there. Maybe try and get down to the last, 4 before you feel like you need to take any of those kind of spots. I think maybe that will happen soon with Timothy just running over the table now.
He can call off and lose that pot. He's still third or fourth in chips. I don't see a whole lot of reason to be confident your opponent can't have ace-jack or ace-10 suited, king-queen suited, if not a few additional things. I mean, he's shoving on a guy who we just saw showdown 10-4 off. So I would feel obliged to call with ace-queen suited, but
I guess if he thinks that Volodymyr isn't jamming those hands that you mentioned, like ace-10, ace-10.
Right, yeah. I mean, if you just think Volodymyr has ace-king or tens, then you should fold.
Yeah, definitely. Either saying would imagine Jerry calling there is ICM suicide. Wouldn't call it ICM suicide, but as I just mentioned, given the perceived range, if you don't think Volodymyr's jamming 7s plus, ace-10 suited, then you just click the fold button.
Timothy, though, continues with half the chips in play as the blinds creep up to 400, 800.
That's our first blind increase of the day, and we're now going to 30-minute levels. Is that right?
We started 3.6. We had a small jump to 3.7. Now we're up to 4.8.
Oh, right.
That's right.
The second blind increase of the day. That makes more sense. It seemed like we had been playing too long for it to be the first one.
But we are now at 30-minute levels for the duration. As Timothy finds a hand that's certainly going to get raised. What stack size do we just start jamming these kind of hands, like from the button? Like, what do the big blind have to be on?
I don't think it's too deep to do it here at 25 with the big blind and somewhat less than that with the small blind. I think I would have shoved in that exact spot. I think it's kind of clearly best at 20 or lower, and probably not so good at 30, though with such extreme stack distribution stuff going on here, it may be a consideration a little deeper than it would in a more typical spot where the big blind has, half as many chips as you, or even a third as many chips as you, and losing that pot is a little more consequential for you. The big jams become much more common as you get to a really large chip lead relative to just a more moderate chip lead, but I still don't think I would be too excited to shove if I was 30 effective with both blinds. Maybe even something like 30 effective with the small blind and 20 with the big blind. That's still looking reasonably enticing.
Ike just loves to shove suit connectors. Let's go.
I do.
Wow.
How bad can it be?
This?
Oof.
What is this?
The min click. Wow.
This is. Can we just call a spade a spade? All kinds of nonsense.
I think it is fair to say that we are witnessing all kinds of nonsense.
Unless he just thought Volodymyr straddled, and then I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
and Volodymyr's just sat there now saying, "Oh, of course, there's an ace on the board." But, you know.
I mean, I don't even know where to go with this. Oh, no.
Oh, well, okay.
Oh, no. In before King of Spades?
Stop it. Don't be calling out cards like that.
His opponents are doing their best to make him look like a genius.
Well, gets to see a free turn, picks up spades, fires off against Volodymyr, who still can't do much more than call. And oh my word!
Oh my god!
I swear, this is sick. How has it really come the King of Spades?
Does he have a block here, like B25 or B30?
No, I don't think there's any reason to play leads here. What can you be bluffing with?
Brutal run out. This is absurd.
Well,
Nice.
GG's.
I don't think he's going to raise. I would be very surprised, actually, if he raises here. Just based on how he has played some other spots. Oh no, he's done it.
He has. And call from Volodymyr Palamar.
I mean, I think shoving it in there is a good play. Like, I
Wow.
don't see why you would be too worried your beat when he chooses that bet size, but
Wow. I mean, that is just an absolutely absurd hand, guys. The min 3-bet pre-flop with 10-5.
and here comes the 8-5 off.
Wow. Timothy on an absolute rampage on this final table, finding the the one out. I mean, it's just the only way that can ever get in. Yowzers. DeepStacks final table already down to just 28k locked up. And well, for those watching, this is fun, but the free roll is also kicking off at this moment. So please do download Party Poker, get in the action. Password is PP DeepStack, and get in there fast, because the way this is going, it might be the stream might be over before the free roll late reg finishes if Timothy has his way. Wow, it was so grim. And yeah, PGD saying, could you not min click or raise less than all in for value on the river there? And it's a fair point, isn't it, Ike? Kind of.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you can use another size there. Save yourself anywhere from one ante to a few big blinds if you're bluffing. I mean, if you raise to all but a couple blinds with a set of kings and they stick it in, I don't know how seriously you're taking the option of folding, but
yeah, it'd be tough.
If Timothy takes this spot,
rips threes from the small. Timothy gives up the ace in the big. That was going to be a potential matching with Philipp ripping the nines. And
interesting to see that Timothy did fold the ace-3 off there. That,
yeah.
He's
right. He's doing it on his terms, isn't he, Ike? He's not.
He's playing pretty crazy, but he's not just like trying to gamble as much as possible. He wants to be the aggressor and make people fold. He's not just calling and running out boards and seeing if he wins.
Yeah, he's always playing on that front foot.
Yeah.
And Thomas with Jack 10 off in the big against this min raise from the button with what a near identical stack. Peels to see 8-5-3.
if Philipp continues for like B25 here, could see Thomas stick around for one.
2 overs, backdoor straight, Jack of hearts, and there we go. There's the small bet.
For chips, I think this is a good enough hand to continue. But yeah, I think that's a good fold in this particular situation. Like, chipping up is just worth so little when you've got one guy sitting on considerably more than half chips and play six-handed. You kind of just want to survive. So you're already much tighter pre-flop than you ordinarily would be, and the average hand you have on the flop is so much stronger, and the EV you need to want to call is so much more that I think you start folding some very strong hands there. Like, maybe you could sneak in a raise with Jack-10 there when you have the heart, but I think calling is just going to lose. And you have to consider that Philipp is opening much tighter than you would ordinarily expect as well, because of the stack distribution more broadly, and because I'm sure he expects Timothy to 3-bet him with 10-5 suited. So
Philipp comes in once more. Nice little run of hands here. Jam
Yep.
through.
Guessing this one gets through.
I wonder if Timothy will make any adjustments now that the stream's kind of caught up and everyone's seen some of the out of line pre-flop opens and lines.
Well, I mean, they saw him show down the 10-4 offsuit in real time because, and then he 3-bet the 10-5 suited and opened the 8-5 off the next couple of hands after that. So I don't think his plan here has to do with people not knowing.
The secret is out. Some carnage to come here, perhaps. Felix with the over and spade draw to Philipp's 2 10s.
Yeah, quite possibly. We might see just a call here, but I wouldn't be too surprised to see a raise either.
Well, it does call 9 repeats. Not the best card for Philipp to see.
Yeah, we could see Felix go for a lead on that card. It's not like Philipp can't have a 9, but Felix has one quite often. Interesting to see what Philipp does here. I think either a bet or a check would be quite reasonable. Felix now has too much hand to bluff and probably not enough to check call, so I think we probably just see go check bet fold here, but I don't really think you can seriously check behind twice with 10s here. I do think paying off with the 3 is not absurd. I mean, obviously, you never beat a value bet and don't particularly interact with value bets, but it's kind of as good a hand as any to call with.
It's a big old bet. 6.4
Yeah,
and
it's a chunky
6.8.
one.
It is, yeah.
What is it they say about the bet check bet line, James?
Exactly.
It's never a bluff.
That is one people tend to neglect. It feels unintuitive.
Yeah.
Of course, you bet check bet for value all the time with hands exactly like that. So of course, you should just get to the river with Queen 10 there and bluff it a whole bunch of the time. But
people don't do it
it's easy. It's easy to kind of forget. I think sort of an emotional thing happens where you see a hand you want to play pre-flop and you're feeling engaged and you raise and you're ready to fight for this pot. And you see a flop you can see bet, and you're still engaged and you're fighting, and then the turn situation plays out where now you check and now you're done. You took your couple of stabs and
you mentally switch off.
yeah, And I think that's actually kind of a mentality thing that separates the very best players from a lot of others, is never switching off. Staying engaged in the hand and looking for ways to win, even as you start to play into lines where that becomes less likely.
That's very true. I've definitely noticed that in myself before, where I've not necessarily given up on the hand, but I can feel that I'm not as interested mentally by the turn, for example.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's definitely cost me bluff opportunities, and maybe even cost me potential sizing tells or whatnot that I could win the hand with. But yeah, that's a great point.
Especially if you're multi-tabling too, like you do to some extent have to ration your mental energy and identify which tables.
Was that all joking aside? Was that just the bet? That was just
it was
bet there from Timothy, wasn't it? Once
yes.
again, going down value, and Jerry heroes it off with ace high.
He checked turn. He checked.
Yeah,
turn.
Yeah, bet check.
Yeah.
Bet. It was the old value line once more.
Jerry, sub 30. Oh no, sorry, not sub 30. Sub 40 even.
Not far off, Henry. Not far off. But it's got the butchers, so things are looking up for the moment.
Man, I mean, everyone else really in a cage now, especially after that pickup there from Timothy.
Yeah, this is getting out of hand.
Certainly is. Timothy stretching even further ahead and taking that, as Henry says, out of the second biggest stack just makes it seem even more absurd. Thomas 2 4s under the gun. 12 blinds is the shortest.
I expect to see a fold there, yeah. I think I expect to see the deuces fold as well.
Are you folding even more than you normally would, like in this situation, just because of what we've seen from Timothy already? Would you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's approaching the point where you have to think seriously about whether you can even put a chip in the pot if you're not ready to put the rest of them in. It's just been relentless. So
it's so
you have to
getting to that situation in Timothy's shoes where you got, you're saying you'd just be scared about putting any chip in.
Yeah.
It just makes it so advantageous as we see him hit pop up Jack 6 off against the button limp. Again, very small sizing.
Yeah.
Just about to ask whether or not Jerry will start limping.
Here we go.
Like it could be a problem for Timothy.
Yeah, this could get a little bit messy, couldn't it?
We haven't seen him run a big post flop yet.
I don't think he's needed to.
That's true, yeah. I mean,
it all worked out.
He's just had it by the river so far. I mean, he had the opportunity to c-bet the 10-5 suited on what is ordinarily a pretty favorable board for the 3-better, and he didn't do that. Yeah, apart from that, he's just kind of always had it. Interesting to see if he barrels here.
He does. Here we go. The first big misstep, perhaps. Jerry, just loving life. First limp on the button. Get raised up by the loon. You flop the joint, and he's gone barrel.
There's 2 queens left in the deck.
Calling here and just saying, red 4, please, dealer. Just keep it clean. Ugh. One of the not so great cards.
It's not the worst card to keep bluffing on if you're Timothy. I'd be shocked to see one more bet go in here.
Well, a flag is waved.
guess you've got a value bet here if you're Jerry. I don't know, maybe you don't. It's pretty hard to find anything to bluff with. I guess you just have to like turn your bad aces into bluffs here. Yeah, I'm kind of not surprised to check behind there.
Open the door to get put in the absolute blender by betting there.
Right, yeah. Not only is it kind of hard to imagine getting called by worse, it's not that difficult to imagine facing a jam and being very unhappy.
Not sure what dynamic I like more, this kind of unconventional style chip leader, just kind of trying to push his way around the table, or more even stacks and seeing who really wants to go after it. I don't know. I've enjoyed this so far. I mean, it's been pretty out of line as far as going out of line on a 1K FT goes.
Yeah, this has been just about the most out of line final table performance I can recall seeing.
Well done, Timothy, for earning that title.
I wonder if we might see Sven do anything spicy here. Ace-5 off is often one of the hands you're most excited to just stick it in with for 25 or for 20 big blinds in this kind of spot. But the ICM pressure being so extreme, I'm not sure he'll do that. A small 3-bet is a consideration, or you could fold.
Just avoid the car crash altogether. I saw Timothy fold the ace blind v blind. You guys were talking about him kind of enjoying being the one that puts the chips in the middle. I was going to say, if it folds to him, which I guess is never going to happen with Philipp having ace-8 of clubs, but if it did, whether he would fold to the jam, Sven.
Yeah, I have
Wow.
no strong feeling about that. Tough spot for Sven here.
It's just brutal, isn't it?
Yeah, that's grim. I am not sure what I would do here. Yeah, I mean,
Just let it go.
if everyone is playing really well, I think that's probably the right play. But
So if everyone's playing really well,
yeah,
to call or fold?
to fold.
Okay, that's interesting. I would have thought it would be the opposite, that you'd want to take the higher variance line if you don't think you have that big of an edge. Like take the spot.
Well, I'm just saying, if everyone's playing really well, then you have a pretty good idea of what hands Timothy is going to have, and they're mostly pretty good.
Right, okay.
But here, we've seen him playing so aggressively that it's difficult to be certain you're not just going to see ace-2 off. But we actually haven't seen him go all in before the flop.
No.
That, right? He's chosen all of these small 3-bet sizes, and the opener's not even particularly shallow here, over 25 big blinds.
Yeah.
Or no, not over 25, but over 20.
But that's a good point. It's definitely a deviation from what we've seen so far.
Yeah, some alarm bells would be going off for me in Sven's shoes there, that, I feel like Timothy's probably not going to have a terrible hand for
Let's just
the shove, as opposed to the under the gun raise, where he clearly is.
Yeah, let's take a moment to appreciate the 9 deuce under the gun. Let's just, let's
double
give it a
down.
little bit of love.
Who was it in the 10K that was like getting really out? I think it was like Timothy Adams, right? Just like opening 10-4, 10-3 from the hijack or something ridiculous.
Something about the name.
I would imagine that was suited and the stacks were just right for it. If it was Tim Adams, he's not just YOLO sort of approach in my experience. What ended up happening there? Philip shoved this. Yeah. Okay.
And you got them back.
Yeah.
Turn to sender.
Only seems fair. I suppose he will probably do that again here, or at least raise. I think you got to raise against a button limp. I mean, or maybe you set a little trap here. How often is Timothy going to raise if you limp? Maybe 75% of the time. It's
that's
more than a little tempting to just call and see what happens. Maybe you get to face raise and call and stick it in and just take down a pretty big pot.
That's some pretty advanced level there, isn't it? If you're completing the small to try and trap the big against the button limp. This it's a very unique situation.
With sevens at that. I mean, it would be one thing if you had kings or queens.
We're working at a level we don't normally see here. Like there's some things going on.
We certainly are.
Like, Felix, Queen Jack gonna pop it up this time. Philip suit ace on the button, and well, can't roll up Timothy from the small with King 4 offsuit. Ah, we can this time. And Thomas getting shorter and shorter, but you've always got a chance in these finals. With Timothy going around like this, anything can happen. Got 28k locked up, but be looking up that ladder for a lot more, and it can happen without playing a hand, that's for sure.
Yeah. Wonder what we see Timothy do here. Starting to look like stacks are short enough to strip it in. Not that this is the most attractive hand for that, but not the worst either.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a fine play.
PGD says in the chat, what are the odds of Timothy busting out in 5th? Room for one more to bust out first. I mean, it's not impossible, but
far from impossible.
It's a big number, though.
I think Sven's got to call this one.
Second shortest, and considerably so. I mean, a little bit stronger than Tom.
Yeah.
Ace 10 suited against his jam. Right, and we're gonna see some of the strongest hands are still going to be raising, aren't they, Ike? It's not going to be a case of.
I would think so.
Oh, does fold.
Yeah. He was risking 30 against the big blind there, so you don't expect him to have garbage, but I think you can very credibly see a worse ace. So.
Small kind B, saying pretty clear trap with sevens there.
Yeah.
Makes sense, given how aggressive Timothy's been playing versus limps.
Felix and Jerry see a flop, 2 diamonds apiece, none on the board. Guys, come on over to the free roll. PP DeepStack is your password. We're giving away $500 in tickets. And hey, on that note, there's loads more going off on Party. Of course, we've been away for a little while. We've got boosted hours still going on until the end of the month. That's double cashback points on fast forward tables and cash games. So if you are into your cash games, and you're forced to spend a few more evenings in as the weather changes, why not give the cash games a little spin? Double points until the end of the month. This non-event of a pot ends with Felix trying to extract a little bit on the end, and well, up against King High.
All pretty reasonable.
And well, Felix once more with a good hand. 2 9s, 30 blinds on the button. Timothy having an orbit off, folding a couple of hands all of a sudden. Of course, so guys, we're gearing up. Millions Online, not far away now. Coming up in December. Got to be one you're looking forward to. I know there'll be all sorts of buy-ins there, to the super high rollers and whatnot.
In the Millions Online, you were saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, that should be fun. I always enjoy a good high buy-in series on Party Poker.
Yeah, I don't know what. Obviously, we haven't seen any schedules yet. I don't know what inside info you have, but I'm guessing we're going to.
No, I don't know anything yet.
Okay. So we've seen 100k the last couple of times, so I'm assuming that'll be in there again. But
we have, yeah. I think Party's had 200 or 300Ks in the last 2 years.
I think so, yeah.
It had 2 in 2020 and 1 so far this year. I would not be surprised to see 1 more.
Yeah.
Or maybe dial it back to a 50 this time.
Well,
we'll see.
whatever it would be, there'd be something big. I think we've had a 10, a 25, and 100 each time. I think so.
Yeah, that sounds right.
It'd be fun to see again. And of course, the main.
Well, event, I mean, in spring 2020, we had a whole bunch of 10s and 25s.
Right. Yeah, every week.
Yeah.
Every single week they were, but I mean the main.
Yeah,
event...
there was the Sunday 10 and 25 every week for a while, and there was the Poker Masters, and I forget the names of the other series, but I think a WPT thing with a whole bunch of like weekday 10 and 25Ks as well.
Yeah.
And there was a load of high stakes stuff in the first half of 2020.
Yeah, it was the every Thursday was a 10k, every Sunday was a 25k. I remember that.
Yeah.
It's punchy. As Jerry goes for yet another limp.
Yeah, a couple of names managed to kind of work their way up the ranks during that time as well. I remember. I remember. I'm about to. But Chris Brewer. I remember Chris Brewer kind of. I don't know if bursting onto the scene is the correct term to use, but I remember him and Rakita Stisa as well, kind of like appearing on our screens more and more around that time, and they seem to have held their own.
That's when Rocco Stisa went on a real big heater on Party. Well, speaking of heaters, it is our main man Timothy still on one here as he takes the chip lead into our first break of the evening. So guys, don't go too far. Myself, Henry, and Ike will be back in 5 minutes. More of this, the WPT DeepStacks final table.
ÖDeen from Bulgaria. Very well-known regular in that part of the world.
The Bulgarians are rife. But wow, here we go then. Henry, 100, 200, and a big blind ante. Haven't said that for a while.
I know, right?
There we go. So obviously the stakes big when you're playing short-handed with that big blind ante. You see, it's the haves and the have-nots. Must have here 2 kings and one of the bigger stacks, 40 bigs. But a few of these guys knocking around a lot shorter than that. As you'd expect, Henry, I guess we're approaching the final table. I guess play last night must have stopped up, and ICM a real consideration at this point, even though, look at that, Henry, first stream of the week and I'm omitting ICM's consideration.
There we go. And yeah, as we saw the chip counts, a couple of shorties in there, especially with all that stalling last night.
Yeah.
Anton going to defend the 8s. Pretty unfortunate for Mustaphov.
Right.
Anton, one of the only other big stacks at the table, shorter stack would have just rejammed these 2 8s.
Yeah, certainly would have done. But, well, Anton perhaps heading towards a little trouble. Henry does that backdoor diamonds, and there are, of course, some straight cards that could come.
Love this from Mustaphov, range check on the 6-5 tray. He knows what's up. Anton with the turn probe for 1/3. Ferry not going to go anywhere. Alright boys, see a river. I mean, it's crazy how big this pot is compared to like the average stack of the tournament. It's
Right.
Shallow stuff. See what sizing Mustaphov goes for here. Going to be targeting, 5x or 3x. Anton shouldn't have too many Jack X that probe turn, unless it's specifically like, Jack X of diamonds. Big bet.
Yeah, isn't those are the 100k coins, the orange. 1.3 slid in there.
Anton maybe a bit sus here. Checked flop. Ferry shouldn't have too many 6x or Jack X, and I mean he's reaching for calling chips, James.
Yeah, I think, like you said, this has been played so well by most of it. He's surely going to get paid off. Taking the check back on the flop. I guess Henry, there's some Jack X with diamonds that is like a natural hand to be worried about. But there we go. Good way to start the week for anyone. And here we have Musta defending the 9-6 from the big blind. I really love these big blind antes. Everyone gets in, and then ace 8-5 flop. He does pick up a gut shot draw. No, with the king queen, queen of hearts. And he is going to see bet for a little over a blind. And Musta going nowhere with that gut shot. Here we go, Henry, here we go. If you're ever going to barrel a second time, this is the one. We pick up a gut shot, we pick up that flush draw. Bet small on the flop. Can't really go hard after these kind of hands. And of course the 8x, the 5x. Oh, he's going for the read, Henry. The eyes look up.
What's going
I've missed
on,
this.
mate?
I've missed all this.
We're getting the angles out first stream.
I love it. I love it. The bet does get the fold. I love to see it. Welcome back to the WPT DeepStacks final table. Myself and Henry here still calling the action. I will be back in a few moments. And well, Henry, it's been rather a fast and furious first hour and a half.
It has been, but I also feel like, we've had times in the past where, given the card distribution and whatnot, it could be over in an hour. Let's just put it that way. But I've got a feeling that's not necessarily going to be the way it plays out.
Yeah, Timothy certainly been leveraging that big stack up to now. You see a monstrous 144 million. Start the final with 100 million. It's already increased it by 44. Bear in mind, only 260 million in play. That lead is considerable. Let's see.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been playing so many hands, Henry. I just don't even know what to say when he looks down at hands like the Check 3 offsuit from the cutoff. He's folding. He's opening 9 deuce from the button, from under the gun. So I mean, it's.
I know what you mean, mate. I know what you mean.
Spidey sense is working this time though, and look at this. Thomas ripping the ace-7 from the button. Felix with 2 jacks in the big makes the call. Thomas needs to find something on the river. Doesn't manage to do so. So the first hand coming back from Bake. Thomas Hueber out in 6th place, picking up $28,000. And all of a sudden, we're down to just the remaining 5. But, well, bar Sven, the rest's now reasonably deep.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a situation now where, I mean, Timothy just can't really just, bulldoze the table in a way that he seems to think that he can. Based off what we've seen so far, I think he's like overestimating how out of line he's allowed to get pre-flop.
Right.
So I say that, but the man, the myth, the legend, Mike Axton back with us.
Yeah, sorry I was a minute late getting back. My cat got on top of the computer and caused some problems. Did you see the cat standing on the computer
we did.
in
We
my
did.
absence? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, at least that was probably kind of funny.
It was.
We were enjoying it.
We assumed
Yeah.
we had a new commentator joining us for the final hour and a half, 2 hours. Yeah, I was just saying, like, I feel like a decent amount of time people actually overestimate how much they can push people around when they're chip leader.
Yeah, I think that's pretty common.
And given the stack depths here, I mean, sure, we can still be pretty aggressive post-flop due to the fact that Sven's just sat on, 12 bigs. But
Right.
Felix still has, almost 50. Philipp has 50. Jerry
Right.
has 30. It's not like you could just, go ape.
Yeah. Yeah, it will be interesting to see if Timothy dials it back at some point, or just keeps the pressure on. And watching it so far, it feels like he is kind of very sensitive to the sort of game flow and recent history. Like we've seen him, open every hand for an orbit and have it go well, and just kind of stick with it until he gets jammed on once or twice, and then he'll take an orbit off.
How about this for a turn card?
That that could be a big problem for Timothy. It's not the most attractive hand to barrel off. He probably thinks he has some chance of just winning a showdown here. But yeah, I mean, betting again is totally reasonable as well. Clearly, Philipp is not going anywhere. Interesting to see if he tries to put a raise in here or just gives Timothy some rope. I kind of like a raise. Yeah, I think that's the best play. We haven't seen Timothy pull the trigger on the third bet. I guess it's a sample of one spot where he had the opportunity, but we've seen him bet twice with medium strength stuff a few times. There was the 6-5 off on 10-5, 3-10, and if he has all sorts of stuff pre-flop, trying to get the money in now if he has like a bad jack or a 6, whatever, is very appealing.
How you holding up, Dempsey? Get coffee on break.
No coffee, no, but we're all good. All good,
Staying alive.
exactly. Trying to stay alive in this free roll, more importantly, guys. They're getting the best of me at the moment. Head on over to party, guys. Give it a spin. PP DeepStack is the password. We're giving away $500 in tickets.
Philip's done a pretty good job, yeah, kind of separating himself from the rest of the pack. Does obviously still have Timothy to his direct left, but he's done all right, given his stack 45 minutes ago.
Yeah, this is, I'd say this, Henry, we've seen so many of these finals that I feel like, we're talking this up like Timothy's going to run away with this, but it's so poised that it could really suddenly become a really protracted affair where it's actually quite deep because we've got down to the final 5 so quickly. I mean,
yeah, I mean, there's 250 bigs at play. Average stack is 50 big blinds.
Yeah.
Philip doubles once through Timothy, and it's a different story, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, Philip did that. He'd be loving life. We're way out.
Yeah,
in front of
so a
himself.
lot of ways this could play out from here.
And
There is a tendency for things to sort of start to feel inevitable when you see a big chip lead like this, but he probably only wins the tournament around half the time from here. The other half, all kinds of different things can happen. And even some of that half where he wins,
Right.
swings back and forth a little before
Yeah.
it finally settles out that way.
Yeah, of course. He can go to the shortest again and still win. We've seen it enough times before.
Absolutely.
Here we go then. Timothy on the button with a king. Gonna pop it up. Sven with 2 3s in the small. By far the shortest.
This is starting to look nasty.
Right. 2.5x as well.
You're sitting in this spot. It's got to begin to go through your head. Man, I kind of wish I'd just gone with that ace-queen suited or that ace-10 suited. But yeah, I mean, I think that's the right play now. You're less than half the next shortest stack. I mean, this is clearly going to be a plus EV shove.
And a full double.
Yeah, Timothy calling it off there. I mean, is there ever any incentive to just keep Sven sub 10 there? Not sub 10, I guess. By opening 2.5x, Sven would have chipped up to around about 11, 12 bigs.
Some, for sure. I think that's a consideration around the margins that, your position in the tournament is really good, and if nothing changes, you're just going to steal the blinds a lot. So, obviously, if you bust the guy, that's even better than folding and preserving the present situation. But if you double him up, it does slow you down just a little bit. And I mean, I think in that spot where you're getting significantly over 2-1, and he's put it in for 7.5 blinds, and you probably have equity in the mid to high 30s and need high 20s. I think it's not close enough to fold, but in a similar sort of situation, I think it becomes a consideration for sure.
Will these chips find their way to the middle? Timothy, let's go for the 6 deuce.
If Timothy, let's go the 6 deuce. Henry, wash your mouth out. What sort of nonsense are you saying here? But yeah, I mean, I was going to say my part on that, I obviously, there's always that argument, but I would have thought that the lead isn't that commanding and the other stacks aren't that shallow. I don't think that we can really be kind of like just trying to keep people in for the betterment of. It's not like Philip's paralysed, is he, with 50 bigs? He's still gonna get to play some hands, and Felix for 35 the same. So
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think.
Yeah.
So I see that argument more when it's you know, when we got like 15 big blind stacks, 12 big blind stacks, and maybe Timothy should just jam whilst they stay in. But
Right. Yeah, I think the effect still exists here. It's just fairly small. I think it's, you know, a little tweak around the margins rather than doing anything really extreme. All the 9s and 7s. Nobody's making a pair of this. Timothy really loves these small raise sizes. He seems to like the idea of making people play medium-sized pots against him. And you know, rightly so. That
Right.
that makes people's lives difficult for sure. When you have a big chip lead and you're putting in lots of small raises, small 3-bets.
Philip's just going to bow out. One would assume.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to have a much worse hand here. You could have it under the 4, but...
Well, I think finally going to get some poker being played, given how the stacks have kind of chipped up, as James mentioned.
Yeah, the stacks have
semi-deep.
evened out a little here. And Timothy hasn't lost any, really, but we've lost a couple of players, and those chips have been redistributed among the non-Timothy people, so...
See what Jerry does. 20 bigs. King, Queen,
would
O.
expect to see an open, and then Timothy probably puts it in. But actually, I wouldn't be so surprised if... I didn't realize that Felix had opened. I misread the action. Yeah, I think folding the King-Queen pair is quite reasonable.
Wow, bless you, James.
I'm fighting them, man. I'm fighting them.
You're wild out there.
That's yeah, that's the hammer Timothy's laying down here, boys.
Reasonable enough. It's a pretty good hand.
Timothy popping up with 9-4 suited on button.
Would expect nothing less.
Yeah.
Yeah, that checks out. I defending the 7-6 is also fine, but it kind of go either way.
Cards aren't cooperating, Dempsey. You want blood.
Cards, they don't have to. You know, we had a little lull. We've lost 4 players already. We just have a little moment of reflection. You know, just to chill out. We are playing for some serious Wonga here. Everyone guaranteed What 36k at this point, rising up to just shy of 172 for the win.
Yeah, pretty insane payouts actually. I mean, 36 to 53 to 81, then six-figure club all the way up to just shy of 120, 171 for first. I feel like the difference between fifth and first is, I don't know, it feels too much. Is that just me?
Yeah, Party has, I think, fairly standardized payouts. I think it's about as it usually is.
What's it? It's 17k difference between fifth and fourth, then 28, then 39, and then 53. Yeah, I don't know. It feels like such an insane difference between first goes home with 171, and fifth you're going home with what feels like a rather small sum of 36,000, even though it's heaps.
Yeah.
It's a big
There's
small
something
sum.
about these exact numbers that does feel a little like the top couple spots are just so much more than the ones below them. But I think on a percentage basis, it's just about as it usually is.
Definitely. Oh, what are those insane ones that you were telling me about Dempsey from back in the day, the difference between first and second?
The old days, man, it was always double. Second was double third, first was double second. We didn't used to mess around.
Oh yeah, the old school payout structures are all over the place.
But you must remember some of those where it used to go double at the end.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Where the difference of losing a couple of heads-up matches could make or break a career.
Yeah.
I mean that was a pretty common payout structure, right? Like 40% of the prize pool to first, 20 to second, 10 to third, and then
the rest can fight it out for the scraps.
Yeah. Or like 30, 15, 7.5 even. But tournaments used to be very, very top heavy a lot of the time. You're running, say, 300 or 400 player 10k WPT, and you really want to say that first place was $1 million.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's funny you said that, because I'm looking through at your earliest caches, and obviously the PCA, and it was almost double. But I saw your next event was a deep run in the WPT in LA. And I'm just looking at that prize pool. It was 2.4 for first, a little under 1.2 for second, so it was more than double.
More than double, yeah.
And then it was 600, 1.2, 2.4 basically at the end. So I mean that's
extreme.
Yeah, that was the old double. That was 2007. I mean,
yeah.
So it's a 10k with 800 entries, and first prize is 2.4 million. We weren't messing around.
Yeah. 30% in an 800 player field. You don't see that so much anymore.
Yeah. Philipp with the turn lead here, by the way, on
at,
this deuce of spades.
Like,
wow,
just over 15% to first, or 15% to first in a 1,000-player tournament here.
Yeah,
which is, I think, much more typical these days.
It most certainly is, and a bit more sustainable for the community. Wow, Timothy. Just
it keeps people alive a little longer when you don't have quite so much money going first.
With the overbet, sicko
Gets it
done.
Love it. Man, it's got all the moves.
Wonder how Jerry and Sven, a couple of preppers, are feeling about this spot. Just biding their time.
Right. I mean, I guess it's a little bit better than it was. You lose 4 players.
Yeah.
You've locked up 36 as opposed to what the 13, 14 you came in with. So.
Not the worst hand to take it upstairs with.
We've certainly seen bolder play.
Here we go. Jerry. Again, though, like, I mean, these guys now are just... Every spot's going to get taken, isn't it? There's the ace-queen will high-five the dealer.
I would assume so, yeah. I think you have to be feeling pretty comfortable about putting it in with the ace-queen here.
Yeah, it needs to be careful. I mean, Romanian players have kind of shown that they're not shy. They're not going to shy away and get pushed around. They'll take the spots if necessary. I mean,
right.
This is.
I mean, you gotta take the spots when necessary.
It's insanely out of line now.
I think this one's probably gonna work. Philip probably sees himself as being pretty low in his own range here, and don't get the sense that he's just committed himself to not ever opening a hand and then folding to a 3-bet. That would not be an unreasonable approach at this point.
I'm curious to see if. Oh wow! Now he picks up a legit hand, and Philip's probably going to open.
Now just the flat. Wow. Wow. 3-bet relentlessly. Gets dealt the aces. Throws in the first flat of the final.
Not the first. He cold called an ace queen earlier as well. The hand where Philip made the set of 8s on the turn.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But I think maybe it's his second call. So far they've been ace queen and aces.
Player 811 saying how many started in this? There are 1,041 entries, and we are down to just the final 5.
See if Philip keeps him honest here for 1. Just gives up. No backdoor. Bows out.
It's difficult to evaluate that spot on the flop. I mean, if Timothy has a normal pre-flop range, it's not a particularly attractive check call. And from what we've actually seen, he maybe has a much stronger than normal pre-flop range. He's been playing all of his bad hands as 3-bets.
Yeah,
his 2
that's
calls
true.
are great hands. So
I'd
yeah,
love to see his 3-bet percentage after this FT.
seems to be at least solidly into the 20s, if not 30s.
Yeah, I'd say so.
There's something just uniquely confusing about seeing a guy 3-bet every hand for 2 hours and finally get dealt aces and call.
It's pulling away again.
Yep.
Is
Philip
talk of his
was-
demise was very premature. Not that there was much
Yeah,
talk of his
indeed.
demise, but we speculated it was possible.
it remains possible.
It does indeed.
It remains very possible it won't happen too.
Felix letting go the king 3 suited this time.
Not a whole lot to say about that. Some solid 15 big blind poker. We've seen Timothy open shove for stacks this deep or even a little deeper, and it's not the worst hand by any means to do it. And yeah, it's small size. And be interesting to see what Felix does here. Can't see a pretty good case for either dollar jam. Have been tending to take the cautious route so far, so I think we just see call, but yeah, that's a good play.
Let's just rip it in. Philip, Jerry, and Felix all with 30 bigs. Sven with 15, and Timothy with all the rest. Very delicately poised.
Kind of want to, like, I know from an entertainment point of view, Timothy not having the chip lead might not be as entertaining, but I would like to see someone kind of get, not necessarily even, but you know, close to like 70, 80 mil, and give Timothy a run for his money. Start putting him in the blender pre-flop.
Right, yeah, just not have it so easy. I want to see an old-fashioned 5-bet bluff. Where's one of them at? Well, Philip's turn with the boots once again. They're lively today, these aces.
Yeah, no one's running into them thus far.
There's always time
How
to
this
read it.
plays out, Jerry's got probably enough to see a flop anyhow. The only way that doesn't happen is if he open raises and gets 3-bet. You never know, he's made some good plays we could see. More standard play here. Call.
Yeah. A little bit of interest here on the Queen 7 tray 2 diamond flop. Jerry with second pair. Philip with aces, holding the key ace of diamonds as well. I see this in the chat. Small kind B says, not surprising, Timothy did 5-bet fold yesterday. There we go, guys. The 5-bet bluff. It's alive and well.
Is that Simon?
Yeah, I was just saying it must be, right? I saw the. I had fun playing until the. No,
it's not.
Michael, wasn't it?
That's right.
Michael had the Queen 10. I assume that's the case. Small kind B. Welcome. Yeah, pretty grim ways, as Ike said at the time. It's pretty nasty to see you bust out, and exactly how Timothy popping up with the 10-4.
Jerry going for the lead here.
Timothy fuming that he didn't open the Jack 3-0.
Oh, I'm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beside himself. Wouldn't be too surprised to see Jerry just dump it right here. Yeah.
It's 20. Cut off first button.
I gotta step away for just a second. I will be back in under a minute, I think.
Alright. Sounds like James needs an ambulance as well.
Oh. Yeah. We're all good, Henry. We're good.
Doesn't sound it, mate. Sounds like
Just
you
got.
need to just chill, watch some Netflix, get some cough syrup, and maybe
Yeah, I've got the. Need to get a lozenge on the go here. Where
There
are
we
they? I left them in range wherever I put them. There's all sorts going on here.
There seems to be a lot of that going around at the moment in the UK. I would know, obviously, because I'm in the UK.
A rare moment.
A rare moment in time, boys and girls. Haven't done many streams from the UK.
We've got Henry on the island.
Oh, one more week, mate. One more week.
And then off to Thailand, I presume?
Yeah, flying to Thailand in, I think it's exactly a week's time.
There we go.
What
So,
did I
right,
miss?
Nothing much, my man. Felix limping, cut off. Jerry.
You missed Timothy trying to beat sixes with 5-6 offsuit. That's what you've missed. Let's see if he can manage it. Yep, he's going to do it.
Drawing dead. 3 outs to chop.
Yeah.
Pretty gross for Jerry. Perhaps he finds the fold right here. Timothy hasn't been actually going that wild post flop so far.
No, he hasn't. But you still, it's still hard to believe that, isn't it? You've seen how he's been playing pre, and you just seen him smashing away and smashing away here. You talk yourself into it a little bit sometimes.
Absolutely, yeah.
Jerry does get away from it.
I think that's probably everything got there. The open-ender and the flush draw both hit. It's essentially the scariest card in the deck, maybe second to the 8 of clubs. And Timothy would have had to lead out with something pretty weird.
Yeah,
to
absolute nonsense.
Not
to
have
be,
the best hand there.
Yeah.
You're even blocking the most viable possibilities, like 8-6.
Yeah. Well, Timothy rips it from the small. Sven with ace-5 dominating Timothy.
I think we ought to see a ball here, yeah.
We do, and an ace-5 board all but seals it. 7 on the turn certainly does, and Sven the double up. Kind of up to 30 bigs himself now. The other two are random, but kind of just almost switch spots with Jerry. Jerry now the clear shortest of the remaining 4. And Timothy with a small blip, like the first of many, perhaps, or a small hump in the road.
Fairly tight fold with the ace-6 suited. seen from Timothy.
Guys, still 15 minutes left to get registered in the free roll. Head on over to Party WPT DeepStacks free roll. We're giving away $500 in tickets. Please do get in the mix. I think that's what happens. Like Henry's run off to register. Must be it. He's having some difficulties. We'll get him back on in a minute, guys.
All right.
All right, a walk. Who'd have thunk it? Short set getting a walk, Ike.
Well, I mean, it was 4-2 off.
It's true. And well, whilst this is going down, we've obviously been having the Sport Buff questions appearing on screen. Remember, guys, if you want to get involved in those, find the widget in the top right of your screen, press start now so we can track your answers. And then as you guys get the questions right throughout the evening, you're going to draws for those tickets. And I'm happy to say that the first ticket winners have been drawn, and they are Prebot27, Ali B13, Skull Poker, Jordan JVMES, and Otaku Ultra Pro. So congratulations to you five. You'll win $11 tickets. And guys, if we weren't lucky this time, keep on playing, because we'll be doing this draw every single break this evening. And there's a lot of stuff to use tickets in, like, coming up with the likes of yeah, Millions Online just around, just near to breaching the horizon, shall we say. Coming up in December. Scary to think we're nearly there, right? But that's what it is.
Time has completely ceased to make any sense.
Right. It's like I was having conversations this last week. It's like, well, yeah, like a couple of years ago. And what I mean by a couple of years ago, I mean like the 2 years before COVID. Right? Because nothing's happened in the... Well, a couple of years ago. It was like, well, no, not a couple of years ago. Like 4 years ago.
Yeah, I was just thinking how, like, fall of 2019 now simultaneously feels like it just happened and it was unthinkably long ago.
Yeah. Pre-bot, congratulations in the chat saying they won. You'll be contacted. Simple as that. You'll get a direct message, a whisper, and we'll figure out all the details. All right, Timothy having a stab. King 9 with Jack 8 of spades. No backdoor, no nothing, but some impetus.
That makes the sixes fold from the last orbit. Perhaps feel a little closer.
Right.
I'm still on board with what Jerry did, but...
And now kind of a weird spot for Timothy having turned that 8, right? It's like...
Yeah. I don't entirely get this play. I mean, I guess it's just kind of some protection and some value. You don't have to be beat here.
All right, some ace-highs perhaps in all those sort of queen-jack, jack-tens.
But he is putting himself in an awkward spot on the river. It would be interesting to see if he just checks it now or if he turns the hand into a bluff. You've now gotten yourself to the river with an awkwardly medium strength hand.
Right. Huh. Goes for the goes for the block.
I feel like you're mostly just gonna lose when you get called and make better hands and make worse hands. I mean, you can get called by ace high here. That wouldn't be surprising, and it's quite a small bet.
Well, Master Jerry decides what to do. One consumer's cool. Henry has decided to reappear.
Ike was mid-sentence, and it just started slowly fading out. I mean, these intercontinental final table streams.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the standard Wi-Fi connections really struggle, so it seems. What did I miss? Anything out of the ordinary? Any 9 deuces folded from under the gun?
Yeah, we just had an unusual hand where Jerry limped the button with 9-8 suited, and I believe Philip completed with something, and
Okay.
Timothy checked with Jack 8. Flop came King 9 rainbow, and Timothy led out and got called by Jerry. The turn was an 8. Timothy led again and got called again, and the river was a deuce completing a backdoor flush, and Timothy bet about 20% pot again on the river and got called. So he turned the pair of 8s and just 3-barreled for small sizes after leading from the big blind on the flop. So
Okay.
kind of weird hand.
I was about to say that. That sounds a bit funky, but
Fitting for this final, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, we saw him lead from the big blind into a multi-way limped pot on the orbit before as well.
I'm just browsing. I know you know what I'm like, James. I like to look at the upcoming festivals that we potentially going to cover and whatnot. And obviously, Millions is the main one that kind of springs to mind in December. Man, we've got some huge guarantees on in that one.
Yeah,
I
Millions.
mean, the main event 5 mil.
Yeah, I mean, I was just saying, there's so much more to get out of there, but that is one that we always look forward to. Of course, the Irish Poker Masters coming up before that. It's coming up next month. So keep an eye on that, guys, as well. Obviously, the main event of that is a 1K as well, I believe. I think it's same as this, right? A 1K with a 1 mil guaranteed, albeit in euros, so slightly larger. Well, Timothy's really those 6s suddenly seem a very different hand, don't they? He's getting more and more out of line post flop.
Yeah, it seems like he is turning up post flop aggression a little. Stacks are getting a little deeper. We're seeing more flops, and he's getting more opportunity to do it. He's getting called down.
Very interested to see if he finds the river barrel.
That flush draw not worth so much with 3 5s on the board. Just calling him on the strength of a king. You happen to be against king, queen, or ace high, the flush can win it for you, but
Timothy, just knuckling that one.
taking a stand there.
I'm awaiting the inevitable misstep, in my opinion. Like something like this, where Timothy actually has a legit hand and someone runs into it.
Yeah. Interesting to see if he calls or shoves here. Both are fairly reasonable in this spot.
Right, it's weird, isn't it? Because the dynamic's set in such a way that at the same time
mean, it's not like we've seen anybody 3-bet bluffing.
Right.
I think this is the first time somebody has made a non-all-in 3-bet with a bad hand against us.
Yeah, it's true.
Bad hand. I mean, ace 8 off is that bad a hand. Rates to be ahead of what he's opening in first position.
Yeah. Sven let it go the king 10 here. Don't know if that's noteworthy or just me being not as nitty as I should be.
Yeah, I mean,
I like that play in this particular stack distribution and the dynamic of Timothy playing so wild and aggressive.
I wonder if Timothy just like dumps this in here.
Hasn't really seemed like his style so far.
we saw with the 8s, didn't we? Not the similar spot.
did, yeah.
From the small, obviously, it does make things see quite a bit different. But
Yeah, I mean, I have no confidence in predicting what Timothy is going to do.
and that's why we love it.
See if Felix starts emptying the clip.
Keeping it cautious.
I was about to say nothing shocks me anymore. You know? I was expected to go check, bet, fold, or maybe check, bet, call. Well, 5's counterfeited. Felix with ace high.
Wow, he checked. Well, one of my longest standing poker reads is that nobody can resist bluffing the counterfeited pair.
Feels so grim checking and giving up.
Yeah.
There's no justice in this game.
It's another one of those things where I think the emotional swing just biases people, where
Right.
they felt kind of good about their hand, and now it's worth nothing, and they feel a little cheated, and sense that, well, it's difficult for me to have anything this bad at this point. They just feel obliged to go for it. But not this time. And probably a good call on his part. I think that was not that likely to get through.
I feel cheated. That's very true. I think the other one's somewhat similar to that. Is like top and bottom, and
Yeah,
you know, the middle card pairs or something, and it's just absolutely furious. Especially when it's like I don't know, like an ace 10-5 board or something, and you're just gonna get heaps from ace king, ace queen, and
Yeah. So true. It's just the worst. But hey, he's still got top
making
pair.
a stand here.
This looks likely to work out for Timothy. I mean, if he bets the flop, it should work. It's a small enough size I could see Philip continuing, but I would be surprised. All of the cautious play we've seen so far at this round table, yeah. Excuse me. Throat getting a little dry, all this talking. Out of the habit of speaking, I think.
Oh, I'm definitely there with you. Starting with a sore throat is not ideal, but there we go. Plenty of water, Ike. It's the answer.
I've got the water right here. I've been neglecting it.
There we go. Sven, 2 queens. Felix with a rather attractive looking 9-10 suited. He's too blind on blind, but will Timothy pop his head up as he's been prone to do?
Resisting
Yeah.
a hand like 7-6 off.
Hey, zero judgment. I won a 500 big blind pot the other night with 7-6 off, so
Very nice.
Games are good, eh?
games are good. Back in the UK, Ike.
What were you punting away in, Henry?
They're still giving it away, you know, in London. 3 o'clock in the morning rolls around and 7-6 off starts looking
Oh yeah.
very attractive.
I have to say, Henry, I returned to life out last week as well myself for a bit of the old multiple card action.
Mm. Yeah, there's something about Million Cyprus that just kind of, I don't know. It's different when you see all the tweets and the Instagram stories and whatnot. And there's obviously the natural FOMO of missing out on some of these events, but just being back in Cyprus just kind of gave that buzz back. You're just seeing, so many people travel from all over, and some of the crazy hand histories that we had from like Manig and John and all sorts going on. It was wild times. Yeah, good to. I mean, I might be obviously overstepping the line here, but I feel like we're getting closer to returning to normality, if you will. But
it's funny you should say
it
that.
does seem that way.
It seems that way, but I mean, I feel like we've kind of been here before, and then it went bad again. So
Felt that way in May, and it didn't work out how we would have hoped. So
yeah.
I'm optimistic that at the worst, this winter will be the last hurrah. COVID might get bad again this winter. That seems to me like a reasonably likely possibility. I think staying bad through all of next year would be quite surprising. Something would have to change, or we would have to have been wrong about the durability of immunity.
Yeah. I mean, by that point, everyone's going to be a multi-millionaire from flipping JPEGs on, SolanaArt.io, and nobody's going to care because everyone's going to have a Bentley parked in the driveway, and heated floors and massive infinity pool. So
heated floors coming to mind as the pinnacle of luxury. That seems specific to me.
It's specific to me because I've been staying at my brand's house in London, and it's something that kind of popped out to me when it's freezing cold here in London, and I walk into the kitchen at 5 a.m. and we've got the heated flooring going. It's just like, wow.
There's nothing quite like heated flooring. It really is. It's like the pinnacle.
I don't know, man. If you're flipping JPEGs for a living and just printing money, it's a
can't be having cold feet. Literally.
There we go. Yeah. Oh man, what a time! I don't know, man. I don't want to get too out of line. We're going on break. I feel like we're living in a sim, dude. Like, this world's getting crazy by the day. They chop this one up.
We do indeed. And like you say, Henry, we do go into a break, guys. Please don't go too far. Myself, Henry, and Ike, we're back for more of this nonsense, and also some more of the WPT DeepStacks final table. All right, guys, we'll see you in a few.
I was playing Cash the other day. Just head on down and jump in. Cash games have been insane. Out with the jacks in the hijack. 18 bigs and a dream.
18 bigs, a dream, and a couple of hooks. Not a bad spot at all.
Oh boy.
Oh dear.
Oh boy. There may be trouble ahead for Artur Martirosyan. Bacalao gonna have some raise folds off of 18 big blinds. And ace 10. Kind of a nice hand unblocking those raise folds. King, queen, king, jack.
Gets away, Henry.
Will Anton get away? Chan most likely to defend, although some reverse implied odds. Going to be up against stronger jack X, stronger diamonds.
So short though, Henry. I guess
Yeah.
the price is just too good to turn down. And well, set once more. Anton this time. Quickly checks it over. Makalu a little upset, Henry. See the ace-high board. Okay, how's the impetus? Up against the small and the big. Does decide to continue? Now we see some 4 Hollywood. Oh, he's going for the raise.
No slow playing.
Something like that. 1.4 he says.
It's a huge raise. Well, jacks going into the muck, I guess, fortunately for the Frenchman. It's an ace high board rather than a 8-5 deuce.
I love that unsteal in the chat saying wasn't Artur grinding online earlier. Wouldn't surprise me. You know, just make it to day 3 of this 2K with $250,000 up top, and well, doesn't start till 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Got to fill the morning somehow. Why not play a little bit of cash online? Taking his time over this. Maybe Henry, you know, thinking, well, what's he check raising me with ace 8-5? He got big ace, so I would have found out pre-flop. As he waited towards the flush draws, of course, Makalu's holding the jack of hearts. Kind of a bad card you'd think to have if you want your opponent to be in there check raising with flush draws. Does eventually give it up. I think probably always was Henry, but this stage of a tournament, you're gonna make sure you take a little moment. With the yeah, I'm just looking at him. Obviously, we're getting some requests about Johan Gilbert, but it looks like he is actually the tournament chip leader out on the other table with 15 million in chips. It looks like he may have busted someone. Yeah, looks like he's wow, yeah, he doubled up, Henry. It looks like a bizarre. Okay. He doubled up for 4 mil. Limp called it off with ace 10 against queen 9. Fell behind on the 9 high flop, but turned an ace and riveted 10 for good measure to get the double up. Looks like he.
Welcome back, one and all, to this, the WPT DeepStacks final table right here on Party Poker. Joined, as always, by Henry Kilbane and, of course, Ike Haxton still with us as we work our way through, guys, to the DeepStacks champion this evening.
Yeah, working our way down, and the break coming at, well, perfect timing, if you ask me. We're going a bit crazy there, so hopefully these boys are going to put on some very entertaining, well, poker for us. 5 left. Huge difference between, I say huge difference. You guys already done the math. The right amount of money is up.
It is a huge difference. Certainly, 170k feels like a lot more than 36. You can hardly get a decent JPEG for 36 these days.
I was about to say you can heat a few floors like with the extra 150k.
Yeah, can you? I mean, I don't know what floor heating costs. I suppose it depends on where you're installing it.
Right. Actually, what's wrong with it? I've just Googled underfloor heating, so I'm now doing some research to see. I mean, winter is fast approaching, and my flat does got quite cold, so maybe this is a good idea for me.
It's a game changer. Absolute game changer.
I'm a big fan of it. I mean, I've always had it in bathrooms. It's a winner in bathrooms.
You know what I don't like are heated car seats.
Really?
Ooh.
I'd love a heated car seat.
I don't know. I don't think anybody has ever thought I sounded like a reasonable person when I said this. But sitting on a heated car seat makes me feel like I've peed myself.
Okay.
I mean, this is... Why? Why does it feel like that? How many times have you peed yourself? I mean,
not many, but it just
because you feel warm and
unnatural warmth coming from below. It just doesn't seem right.
It's beautiful though. It's almost worth peeing yourself for that feeling.
Look, I don't just want to. Yeah, I don't just want to like agree with you for the sake of agreeing with you, but now that you've said it and I think about it, I feel like I understand
this horrible thought in everyone's minds.
Yeah.
I'm just inflicting senseless harm here. I shouldn't have said that.
Ooh. I was so distracted during the hand, but we had a Philip got curious in the river, called off with ace high and got shown the full house. But
yeah, pretty big call as well on the river.
Yeah,
around 75% pot.
You say he's just got the image. I mean, even if he hasn't been going too crazy down the streets that we've seen, it's
been ramping up a little.
Yeah, that's fair to say.
At least the turn aggression. I don't know that we've seen a big river bluff yet.
From Timothy?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had the pretty gangster queen 4 on the ace king deuce deuce king.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Blind v blind. I thought that was pretty cool. Overbet river.
Would not be at all surprised to see an open jam from Timothy here. I guess it'll get snapped off if he does. But maybe just a small raise. Yeah, there it goes.
There we go. All right, well.
Surely.
Oh.
What? Really?
Second stack decides not to take it on. Like. Says I'll leave it, thanks. I mean, there's some. We can. Like, you're putting faces like it looks like you peed yourself, but I mean, it's.
I feel like I might have.
there's some reasoning. There's some method to the madness, right? I mean.
Yeah, I mean, you know that there are reasons to play conservatively here. You're second in chips and have a pretty good shot of laddering up by just playing tight, and maybe you're thinking, Timothy's been pretty out of line and not always just open jamming. You might be able to play patiently and find a spot post flop where it feels a lot less risky to commit your chips with a strong hand. But I don't know. I mean, ace queen is a lot of hands to be folding.
It certainly is.
All right, we've got some aggression here. And Timothy with a decent hand himself, we could see all sorts of things, including a fold. I don't think a fold would be unreasonable either. When you're opening as loose as he is, and at this point clearly everyone knows it, you begin to feel some pressure to play back with more medium strength stuff, but you can't fault a fold either.
Wow, how about this for 5 hands?
That is a collection of very bad hands.
7 deuce when you get a walk.
Yep.
He does indeed.
Easy.
Uh-oh.
I guess we just see a raise and take it here.
Philip not
He's
gonna...
be tempted with ace 3 off. Against the
Yeah, I
cutoff.
suppose so, yeah. Again, with Timothy in the big.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
Oh, James, I thought you were saying uh-oh because Timothy has 9-4 in the big blind and all the money's going in.
That
That's what I meant.
seems like a possibility. Has not folded instantly. Oh, here it comes.
See? Uh-oh. Man, I'm loving Timothy. Just every single... It's not like every spot taken. It's not every non-spot taken. These are not spots, but we take him anyway. Let's manufacture some stuff. I like it. We got the inside intel that the 5-bet fold was accomplished last night. Love to hear that.
Be interesting to see what Felix does here. Yeah, I mean, that's a fine play, but it's tempting to do something fancier and see if you can't give him a bit more of a chance to put it all in.
Right. I guess like sing Felix fold the ace queen to the jam kind of gives us an idea of where he's going to be at, isn't it?
I guess he is taking a conservative approach here, and ripping the queens is not surprising.
I want to know the man behind the name. You know, I just want to see from like a psychological / I don't know, neuroscience POV. When you look down at 9 deuce under the gun,
We're
you know,
considering not just psychology, but neuroscience.
Yeah, like what
what
kind of madman is behind the screen? I love it. Absolutely love it.
There's some mania here for sure. Couple of half hands. King 9 suit for Phil. Sven, Jack 10.
I do not think there is any real possibility Sven's putting money in if Philip opens here.
No.
We've seen him make some much tighter folds than that.
But one of them was putting some money in. There it is. How about all the money?
Yeah, that seems like a reasonable thing to do. You don't exactly want to raise call against Timothy, so better to take away his option to shove. You know, we're just talking every hand about what's Timothy gonna do, and that's just kind of how it goes when you've got a big chip leader who's really pressing that advantage. It's all about Timothy here.
Still relatively deep as well.
Yep.
Even though he does have the overwhelming chip lead. I mean, shortest stack, 15 bigs.
The rest over 20.
Yeah. Still anyone's game.
Yeah. This could go on a while from here.
James may have passed out if...
I'm a warrior, Henry. Don't you worry about me.
if we get to the 1 mil, 2 mil level.
Yeah, what have we got coming up here? Is the next level 816, or do we have like a 714, 750?
Yeah, we got 714.
714.
Yeah. Yeah, 714, 816, 1, 2. And then 125, 2.5.
It's not the WPT short stacks.
It certainly isn't. All levels. Oh,
Bless you.
thank you. Sorry, I'm getting slow on the mute. To the point that I've given up with it at this point. I'm too deep in, guys. It's just.
Jerry really limping a lot from the button here. Ordinarily, I'm not the biggest fan of that play, but with Timothy playing so wild and facing raises when you do limp so often, facing 3-bets when you open so often, like rarely stealing the blinds, I begin to see the appeal for sure. Jerry's a very experienced player. If I'm recognizing and remembering the name correctly, a guy who's been playing high-stakes online tournaments for 15 years, I think he is probably eager to see flops and play pots in position against Timothy here.
Well, a little bit of interest, Ike. Queen of Hearts.
Oh, yeah.
We got gut shot. We got overs.
No one's going anywhere on the flop. It's tempting to do something aggressive here as Jerry. It feels like not quite the right hand and a little bit too much to play, but I think he has to just call, but it's appealing to just put it in or raise and call it off or something with the top gut shot, backdoor flush draw. Pretty good equity against everything, and Timothy's been so out of line. And again here, I think you probably just call. I think your hand plays pretty well on rivers. I wouldn't fault a shove. I think fold would be too tight. Obviously, it's another matter entirely if you don't have the Queen of Hearts, but yeah. Gotta stick around and let that happen. And will we finally see Timothy pull the trigger for the third barrel?
25 million out there, Jerry, with 20 behind.
Looking like the biggest pot of the tournament here if Timothy does bet the river.
Yeah, it's wild to think that when it's really not that big a pot compared to the blinds, but
yeah,
such has been the nature of this final. Timothy's just had a stranglehold all over it.
We do get a check, and
the flag is waved.
I mean, Jerry has to bet here, right? I think a couple different things make sense with sizing here. I think you could bet as small as like 7 or 8, or as big as all of it, and really anything in there, you can make a pretty good case for it. I think I like this play. The ICM pressure is so immense here. With Timothy having such a large share of the chips in play, that 7 million chips is worth so much in the contest against the other 3 players to get second that it makes sense to use a smaller bet size than you would ordinarily consider in a cash game.
See how Timothy starts adjusting, well, not necessarily adjusting, but see if that has any effect on him losing a relatively big one. He was up to 160 mil, 165 mil at one point. even though it's pretty insignificant, it does sometimes creep into players' heads.
Oh, sure. I mean, that is what, like, around 20% of the chips in play? Not quite. 15. That's fairly significant. I think we'll probably see Sven play this passively. He has a strong hand, but not one you're super excited to play a huge pot with. Well, now he has a real monster. But again, I think we're probably going to see him just call facing a bet here. Now we're just in slow play territory. He has a really huge hand. Though that's a small bet. Again, if Timothy had bet more like 2/3 pot, I think we almost always just see a call. Against this, Sven might feel like he has to put a raise in and get a little more value. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. And tough spot for Timothy here. I don't think the price is right to just call. I don't think you can really win at Showdown very often at all with just king high. At the same time, it's not the craziest thing to just put it in. Though, yeah, I'm not surprised to see him just fold. I think, you know, even a slightly better hand, like king 7, just to give yourself that gut shot or whatever. It's a little more tempting.
Yeah, that might be a bit on the heroic, wouldn't it? Timothy down below half the chips in play, just for the first time in a wee while. He must be sweating it, guys, as he pops it up with 6-4. The nerves are getting the best of him. He's going to his shell.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised how often, you know, chip leaders lose like a couple of relatively big hands, even though I guess with the chips in play not that big, but yeah, they just seem to kind of lose it. Forget that it's a marathon, not a sprint. For example, betting pot with 6 high on a 10-9 deuce board.
It does put Felix in a difficult spot. His hand is far too strong to fold, but now that you're going to have only about 1.6... Oh, come on. How many times do you have to see this guy just blast the money in with absolutely nothing before you continue the flop with 2 overs and a gut shot in the backdoor flop?
I love how politely you were disgusted there, Ike. It's a very subtle, oh, come on.
Sven with the flat, holding 2 7s on the button. Jerry coming along from the big blind, popping best on Jack 9 deuce, even has backdoor hearts to boot.
Excuse me.
See what's I was about to say, see what sizing Timothy goes for here.
Pop button.
Do you think he's adjusted the bet sizing settings after losing 2 hands in a row? Just got them all set up hot now.
It's beginning to feel that way.
A grim spot for Jerry, comfortably second in chips. Let's go, top pair. see who wants it, Sven or Felix.
Quite surprised if Felix puts any money in here. Somewhat surprised that Sven opened. This seems more ambitious than some that he's passed. Stack distribution looking a little more favorable for him now than in some of the spots where he had folded earlier.
Well, blinds inching up, boys. 700k, 1.4 million. The bite, considerable on Philipp here.
Tries to trap here. It's or go for a small raise. It's tempting to do something other than shove when you get a hand this good. I like that. I think you're going to get enough action limping for it to outperform raising.
Timothy decides to check back the king 5 and flops top 2 on king 5-3, and like you say, yeah, he's going to get all the action he can handle here, Philipp. And may well be curtains.
May well, yeah.
Ace on the turn. It kind of not a completely irrelevant card, is it, Ike? But it's like
when it
not that
goes
likely.
Check on only 10 big blinds.
Yeah.
That's almost like pairing the king. Like,
yeah,
there are very few hands that you were ahead of that caught up. I mean, 4 deuce is a consideration,
right,
for sure. But he's not just going to have ace 7. That's putting it in pre. I would think. I mean, I would also kind of expect king 5 to put it in pre a lot of the time. So.
11.5
out
out there.
Things are looking rather unpleasant for Philipp.
yeah.
Fires a third barrel.
Wow.
I wonder if Timothy will find the raise here or just call for.
I mean, it feels like it's just a cause, isn't it? But
I think he ought to raise, but
he does.
nice.
Now Philipp has managed to put all but 5 million in by this river with 2 9s, betting 3 streets, having limp pre-flop, and is up against the overwhelming
I don't
chip
mind
leader.
how he's played this hand, but it's a pretty nasty spot to be in now.
Oh,
Wow.
He calls it off.
Yeah.
Does call it off. Well, that hand could have ended in a few ways. I didn't see it going with the bet call line, but that's how it did go. Philipp Hofbauer picking up 36k, guys, and now we're into the 50 plus payouts. It's just 4 remain.
Getting serious.
And relatively deep. I mean, 25 to 30 blinds for the other 3, you know, it's a more fun spot perhaps now for Timothy as well, with them also even.
Yeah, now he can really crank up the aggression. Not that there's a whole lot of room to go up from where it's been, but
Right.
the situation dictates it a bit more than it had.
Oh my god.
What you're saying is going to stop knitting it up, is that what you mean, yeah?
Exactly, yeah.
I'm curious to see out of Jerry, Felix, and Sven if who's going to come out of their shell. I mean, it's so tough to play against. Where like Timothy is just super unpredictable, both pre-flop in terms of sizings, pre-flop 3-bets, you know, flatting monsters and whatnot. It's
Yeah.
He did let the 10-2 go from the cutoff this time.
Like I say, he's gone tight.
maybe things are settling down a little, or maybe we'll see a 9-2 next orbit.
May just be. Guys, we've done another draw for the tickets from the last break, $11 a piece, and they're going to Pardest, Styx Zardinia, Maces 75, Tino RJ, and Esteban 1978. Names going in the chat now as well. If you heard your name, you won an $11 ticket. Congratulations.
GG's.
Easy as that, Henry. What we'll do is a little sport buffing. Fire off some answers at the questions. I've actually slept through all of them today, so I've not been with a chance of winning. I usually get them wrong anyway, so
I haven't battled much today.
Frustrating right now for Jerry. He's gonna shop now. Hard to see why either side. Well, no, I mean you could try to value bet king high here. Actually, now that I think about it,
here we go.
that's not unreasonable. And yes, well,
The 2 king highs. Chop it up. Sven, a very attractive looking ace, queen of diamonds under the gun.
I think we're seeing a raise here, and at least a call from Timothy. Could see a 3-bet. He's
Right.
seemed so far to take a more polar approach to 3-betting out of the big blind. You know, the 9-4 offs and stuff. Calling the more medium things, yeah.
It's a funnish flop with Jack 8 of hearts if he gets given a bit of rope.
Yeah, just sort of in the neighborhood, all kinds of different backdoor draws. Picks up an open ender. It is quite likely we just see a bet and a fold here.
Yeah, really tough to keep him honest with ace queen of diamonds on this board.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you need to. I've got 10-8, 5-4, all making a gutter or better. It's not too hard to find better unpaired hands to continue with.
Wow.
Bunch of serious hands here.
Yeah. For the first time, we've seen some.
Not even begin to speculate about how this plays out briefly. Weirdly feeling just family pot here. Everybody's just gonna call. Take it
Timothy's
easy
just
with
going to
the
call
hand.
with ace queen. He's just going to pile this in, surely, no?
Aye, but okay. I mean, that's a much better play. That is undoubtedly what he should do.
Wow. 162.
Yeah.
Place 37, place 31, place 30. It's pretty insane.
Yeah, with a 120k pay jump between 4th and 1st. It's a nice spot to be in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Ike, you said earlier on,
Yeah.
saying that feels like everyone's playing for second.
It does. It does now, doesn't it?
It certainly does now.
That jump from, it was 120 a minute ago. I was jesting, and then back up to 160. I mean, he's just reclaimed the second biggest stack and thrown it on top of his. So, that 40 minute doesn't look much, 120 to 160, but in the context, it's huge.
Oh yeah, that's a big swing, and really increases the extent to which he can apply pressure. Before, if he doubled up, the second place stack, they'd be about even, and now he would still have a substantial lead.
Flop plays check. See if Felix probes turn.
Yeah, very tricky spot from Felix's side here. It's difficult to guess how Timothy's constructing a checking range on this board. I do think it's reasonable for him to play some checks, especially given, you know, they both know he's opening really wide and Felix is defending pretty tight. So the ace-high board is not as favorable for the opener as you'd ordinarily expect it to be. But it's anyone's guess exactly which hands he's picking to check with. Naturally, king high is one of the more appealing ones, but
Yeah, just knuckles back.
yep, nice little medium pot for Timothy again, and really starting to pull away now.
Yeah, I mean everyone in that at that rejam depth as well pre-flop now. I mean even Jerry.
Oh yeah, Jerry's
25 big rejamming spot. Yeah.
Kind of close spot for Sven here. Interesting to see if Felix goes for a jam here. I think I would like that. The opportunity to gamble against one of the other small stacks is not to be underestimated. When you're in this situation where you're just getting blinded out by the chip leader and you have an opportunity to play a big pot against one of the other short stacks, that is a sneakily very appealing situation.
Hello. Queens v7s.
This looks pretty likely to go in pre.
Sven popping up for the second hand in a row, where he's folded the last hand. This time will be raised snapping against Timothy's sevens. And 7 on the flop, jack 7-6.
Night.
Runs it out clean from there. Sven, desperate, out in 453k. Timothy, well, I guess if it's your day, it's your day. Spikes the 7 up to just shy of 200 million for 260 in play.
And
now this really does
feel.
feel.
Could be down to 2 now. I think this almost certainly goes all in and call.
Wow, yeah. Yeah, Felix has made a couple of big folds from the jams. This one feels a mandatory call like. Can't be folding this one.
Yeah, okay, thank God.
10-10 flop. Wow, you called it. We could be down to 2, and we are. Bang, bang. Fourth and third out in back-to-back hands. Outdraw. Timothy vaults to near victory.
Getting it done.
225 million plays 32 million as we start the heads up. Felix picking up 81k. Well, both Jerry and Timothy now guaranteed 118k, but it does feel a little bit like Jerry's getting 118k the way things have gone. Starts this heads up.
That's a big chip lead.
Yeah.
But
Wow. About as healthy as they come.
But now the shackles are off for Jerry. There's no more having a high, no more ICM.
To see how this goes from here. Jerry is a very experienced tournament player, and I'm sure. I mean, he doesn't expect to win anywhere near half the time with such a big chip deficit, but I think he probably feels he has some play edge in this spot. And it will be interesting to see how this plays out. If Timothy remains as aggressive as he has been all along, and how Jerry adjusts to that now that, you know, he doesn't have to worry about laddering anymore.
Yeah, it's curious. I mean, obviously, starting at relatively shallow for heads up, but say Jerry gets that first double up and makes a game of this. I'd imagine Timothy would have to adjust because he's been so aggressive. He couldn't. I don't think you can really keep that up when you're not putting ICM pressure on players. So.
Right, it's a very different story now that that's out of play.
Yeah.
Nowhere to hide in heads up.
Nowhere to hide. No. No need to hide.
I mean,
the,
So far, he's taken the 6-2 suited, racing it up to 3 big blinds, flopping middle pair and following through. And
yeah, I like that.
Here.
Baduri in the chat saying Jerry must be so hyped. Made 65k in the last minute. Yeah, just watch 2 hands play out.
That is a very good feeling.
Go ladder. Thank you very much. It's not just make 65k, but like more than double your guaranteed payout.
Oh yeah. And
all right, well, picks up a pair to go with that open ender and the 7 high spade draw.
that seems like a card I might want to step on the brakes on if I were Timothy. Difficult to see what sort of good things happen when you bet the turn with a hand of that strength.
Very curious to see if he follows through here. Bet flop, bet turn. What?
Wow.
Yeah, if I emerged from a fugue state on the river with 6-2 suited here, I feel like I would have to just follow through. It's a pretty attractive one.
Yikes. Jerry gets a flush on the end, but I mean, what? Put together hands you can be beating here, Ike. I mean,
It's a little
6
difficult.
deuce. Like,
Yeah,
Wow.
it's hard to fault that fold. I don't think we saw the bluff with the queen high in that one spot where he called the
Yeah.
turn and then bluffed facing a check. That's the first time we've seen Timothy just, take 4 consecutive aggressive actions as a bluff.
Yeah, I can't fault Jerry for that fault
No.
there at
No,
all.
I very likely fold that as well, even with how wild this has been.
yeah, that's me saying I might have to tighten up now. It's heads up and goes bang, bang, bang first hand. So that's me told. 10-1 lead or near enough.
Nothing too much should be happening with these hands, but given the way this final table's played and some of the bust outs, would not surprise me.
Timothy has shown a real liking for raising against limps, with all sorts of weak and medium sort of hands. Seems to be considering doing something even here.
I was about to say, go on, T-Dog. The old check raise.
It is extremely difficult to have a hand worse than 9 deuce on Jack 3. First, you have to have the deuce to have the under to the 3. That's quite significant. And then
This might just go in pre, you know?
This looks spicy.
Reasonably likely to go in pre, yeah.
Timothy pops it up. Jerry, the decision, 15, 16 blinds. Decides to flat and see 9-7 fly for 2 overs and a gut shot draw beer.
And it still very well might just go in here.
No blue cards. Yeah.
Jerry has seemed to want to prolong this and
Yeah.
give himself the opportunity to make as many decisions as he can. So I guess I'm expecting to see a call here.
Well, there's a card that I guess he gets to lead a little bit, but I mean,
He could consider it, yeah. He made a similar play earlier, blind versus blind, when he had the 10-7 on
Yeah.
Queen 7-3-3.
Yeah.
So that seems like it's a play he likes.
and well, 9 being now. This is a wow. It's just a bizarre little situation we got
Yeah, it's
ourselves in
true.
here for Jerry. He gets to have the 9s, he gets to have 7s, he gets to have some clubs as well, right? I mean,
Yeah, he could. Don't know what he'll do here. I think that is the best play. You know, winning is just check and win is not out of the question by any means. He can be against a hand like 8-5, 10-5, pocket threes, 10-8. There's quite a few hands Timothy can get to the river with there that lose to Jack High, and he's not certain to bluff all of them.
Right.
And your blockers are relatively poor for bluffing.
Jerry now not far from 10 bigs. Open ripping 10-9 suited from the button.
This one feels somewhat short-lived, boys, but I've thoroughly enjoyed it after, what, a 20-ish day hiatus? Hopefully not too long, James, until we're back.
You're jinxing us here. We're about
Yeah.
a 4-hour heads-up match after you say that.
All right, mate.
Very confident, isn't he? I mean, there's what, nearly 200 blinds in play.
I'm just saying, we've done it before where we haven't said our farewells and it's been over in like a hand, and then I haven't seen anyone for a month.
Here we go. This looks like it may well be that hand, Henry. Jerry limping queen, Jack. Tim has raised so often in these spots as well, hasn't he? Well, this time just open rips. And Jerry does make the call. We head to the flop. Jerry flops the open ender, finds a queen. That's of no use. River bricks out. Well, just like that, Timothy Kelly is the DeepStacks champion. And what looked like it was about to be quite a long 400, 500 battle suddenly ripped through, and this man took the field apart, guys.
Yeah, that definitely could have gone on for a lot longer.
I guess that was a wild final table.
Yeah, pinging the 2-outer against Sven, I guess, kind of just started it all off, and yeah, that was what, 15 minutes ago, thereabouts.
If
But
that, yeah.
Yeah, incredible stuff. Jerry picking up 118. Timothy, though, with that 171. $804. And the rest finished just like that, guys. And, well, yeah, credit to Timothy. We saw some unorthodox stuff, Ike, but he got the job done in the end.
He certainly did. And, you know, a lot of what he did worked out. He played very aggressive, and his opponents made some tight folds. Yeah, can't entirely fault it.
Yeah, exactly that. Well, Ike, let me just say thank you very much for coming along once again. We really do enjoy having you in here.
My pleasure.
Some real in-depth insights. So, well, hopefully we'll see you soon. I know certainly we'll. I'm no doubt touch base during the Millions Online, where
absolutely
we'll be both
looking forward to it.
playing and doing commentary. All right, my man. Cheers, Henry. Thanks again as always to you as well, of course. And I hope all of you watching have enjoyed this WPT DeepStacks. There we go. Henry, next time we talk, I guess you'll be in a new exotic location, right?
Hopefully, yeah. Headed to Thailand in a week, mate. So next time I'll be a bit more tanned.
There we go. All right, guys. Thanks everyone for tuning in. And well, as things stand, we'll be seeing you next at the Irish Poker Masters, I believe. We'll see what happens with that. But if not, it'll be the Millions Online in December. But until then, best of luck.